This is Revenue Marketing Raw. No fluff, no vendor pitches. Just the truth your CMO won't say out loud. Featuring Jeff Pedowitz and Dr. Debbie Qaqish. Let's go!
We're live. What's up, Deb?
Hey, I'm good. How are you doing today, Jeff?
I'm doing great. It's a beautiful day here in Georgia. Spring is here.
Well, it was 78 degrees here yesterday, and again in North Florida. It was absolutely gorgeous. So, we don't often spend much time thinking about what we're going to talk about when we do Revenue Marketing Raw, because we just want to let it rip, based on what we've heard from clients and and what we've seen here recently. And one of the things that I was thinking about this morning was in the beginning of 2025, we released a report called The Big Squeeze. Mm-hmm. And what it was all about is we went out, we talked to a bunch of marketers, and they all said the same thing. Our marketing budget is being squeezed, and we just have to do more with less. And, that was just like on steroids. And it was just how efficient can we be and how much money can we save? Yep. And that was the tone coming into the beginning of 2025. Jeff, we could take that report and just put 2026 on it, and everything would still be absolutely true. And the exception to that would be, while AI was mentioned in that report, AI has helped marketers become so efficiency focused, they have no notion of strategy or growth anymore. And it is killing marketing organizations.
Yeah, I think in more ways than one, too. I think, first of all, as AI does take over a lot of the efficient tasks, and a lot of the things that the junior or early marketers were doing. So now, if you're not hiring people coming out of school and your organization, let's say, is strategic or operating at mid or senior level, what's your workforce development plan look like? How are you going to be able to then hire and develop people to get to that level if you have AI doing everything?
I think that's absolutely true. And we definitely need to have another one around generational talent development. I think for today, though, the thing that I was trying to get to is that AI doesn't just help you be more efficient. It helps you adopt this mindset where everything is efficiency, right? And if you think about where marketers have spent money over the last 12 months and where they have spent time, they haven't spent it on growth strategies. They haven't spent it on innovation. They've spent it on AI to get as efficient and low cost as they can. So what does that say about the value of a marketing operation besides we don't cost as much money as we did the year before?
Yeah, I think if you are only focused on efficiency and doing more with less, that becomes more, I guess, constraint-driven marketing, versus, full throttle marketing. Like, because if you can be more efficient and it's giving you time back, the idea should be then that you're spending more time creating. You can put the human factor more in. You are being more strategic.
Okay, Mr. Pedowitz, we had that discussion last week, and I told you we had a little back and forth on that, and the back and forth was they're not replacing it with strategy. They're not. That's the. No,
you're right. They're not. I'm saying, but I guess I'm saying they should. I'm in alignment with you as it relates to the topic this week, but they should be. But if they're only focused on the mindset of being efficient and they're being constraint driven, they're not providing themselves with the opportunity, because really this is a golden age of creativity. Like with the where AI is going, marketing should only be limited by their imagination.
I understand, but AI right now, if you have a hammer, everything's a nail. That's true. The hammer right now is, how can I use AI to be as efficient as possible? I think few people are using AI as a way to find new markets, as a way to improve growth, as a way to, find new offers and better ways of understanding the customer. And if you think about the constraints that marketers are under right now, it's the budget, it's been slashed. It's also, as much as we love to talk about revenue marketing, having that focus on revenue, which is like, I got to have it this month, I have to have it this quarter, I have to have it this year, also takes the optics away from a bigger vision, more strategic, more go-to-market, looking for more creative solutions. So marketers have three powerful constraints. They've got the budget, they've got AI, and then they've got that very narrow focus. And so I see them just, and if you talk to a marketer, it's everything they talk about is just efficiency. It's just efficiency, right?
And while you're right, and while there's value in that, what about strategy? What about innovation? What about your customer understanding? And I think the danger become one-dimensional, and you lose, right? You're losing the artistic quality of marketing, the storytelling, the brand, the connective tissue. We've always argued that the marketing, or at least the CMO, could be the chief change agent for the company, right? So are you now only focusing on changing to be efficient, and you're not doing the other things that really truly move your business forward?
I would challenge every CMO to ask themselves that question. Take a look at what you've done the last 12 months and what you plan to do the next 3 months. Are you in that pure efficiency play because of constraints? Do you just have on blinders right now for that? And again, we just see a lot of marketers just, they're using AI, but they're using AI purely from an efficiency standpoint, probably because they have all this, they have all this pressure right now. So what is it that they, for example, let's take a look at innovation, right? So what has happened to innovation in marketing? And you were talking about creativity. What's happened to creativity in marketing? Where is that? And I would think, Jeff, especially in today's age where customers, they don't want any BS, right? If you're not authentic, if your message is not consistent everywhere you go, if you can't project that, then you're just not going to win the business from them. And through the years, we have talked about customer until we're just like we're purple in the face by now, talking about focus on the customer. And yet we don't see AI being used enough where it should be, and that's better understanding of that customer. No, it's just how to do something faster. It's how to do something cheaper. It's how to do more of something, right?
And it's almost like, I think marketers are getting disillusioned that they are being strategic, right? Because they're using now these tools to become more efficient, but they're missing some of the things that you just said, right? And I think you stop making choices about where you can win, how you go to market, how to build new revenue models, how to leverage your channels, how to take advantage of now the data that you have access to better segmentation, more strategic decision making. So yeah, I think you're right, and I think that's the danger. And it takes more self-awareness, right? It takes more self-empowered leadership to get beyond that. To say, that there's nothing wrong with becoming more efficient. We've all become more efficient here because of AI and more productive. But that's not the only thing, right?
It's not the only thing.
That's table stakes.
At the last 3 years, I think, have been tough on a lot of marketing organizations. And I'm almost seeing a self-fulfilling prophecy. You're nothing but a cost center. So guess what? You've become a cost center. And you're just trying to be more efficient, with the resources that you have, which I think is just such a shame. So how can we help marketers understand they're kind of in that death spiral and how to get out of it? Oh, and by the way, and we've talked about this before, we're seeing companies that are letting the CMO position go and not replacing it. Now, why do you think that is? Because it's viewed as a cost center. Efficiency plays aren't going to do it. If you can't bring the strategy, and if you can't bring the growth, new markets, new models, new solutions, then, you're just an efficiency play, right?
Well, and I think, this is probably going to sound ironic coming from you and I. I mean, with we have pushed and focused and advocated for marketing to have revenue accountability.
Oh, we have.
But let's also be practical in today's world. Whether you're a public or private company, when you're revenue driven, you're short-term focused. You're focused on the month, quarter, right? The stock price, the profit margin. That doesn't always serve marketing's interests when you're trying to build long-term brand or you're trying to put in programs that take a long time. So I'm not going to say marketing should stop focusing on revenue accountability, but
those words will never leave our mouth.
No, but I am saying though that, because to answer your question from a couple minutes ago, I think marketers have to, okay, that's a bucket. And now bucket number two, how do we, what does strategy look like? What are the questions? Where do we need to be? And over what time? And with AI, they can start executing maybe some of these strategic plans more efficiently, but they still have to have a plan. They have to have a strategy. Strategy doesn't go away. You have
so that begs the question, what does the CMO need to be doing differently? Yes, a lot of pressure, a lot of constraints, but you are a flippin' executive, right? And you were brought into your company not to be a damn how low can we go execution machine. You're at the C level because you should be bringing the strategy and the innovation. How are CMOs losing sight of that?
Well, I mean, let's face it, today it's almost an impossible task to be a successful CMO because of all the hats that you're expected to wear and all the unrealistic expectations. But I think there are some practical things. I mean, I would start by saying, Deb, optimization really isn't a strategy. Optimization is about efficiency and productive. So it's just
keeping the same motion going faster. Yeah. That's it.
So I would probably take a step back and audit what your team's doing and where you're spending your money. And if 80% of that is still running your existing programs as they've been, but you're just using AI to run them better or faster, that's not a strategy. That's maintenance.
See, I think the audit starts someplace else. I think before you do that audit, you start with a higher level audit and you put on your damn CMO hat and you think strategically about your company and your customers, and you start the audit at that level. What's happening, what's not happening, what should be happening, right? And then given that as a framework, then you can go into the audit of where you're spending your time. It's like, what's your best and greatest use when you come into work every single day?
I mean, even before AI, we've talked about this for years, like with marketers, like get closer to your buyers, get out of the office, get on the sales calls, do win-loss interviews, build your customer advisory boards, go on a ride along with sales, right? Because, dashboards only tell you what happened. They're in the rearview mirror, right? Buyers are telling you what they're feeling now, what they're thinking about and what's changing. And that's not something that AI can do on its own. AI does not have human context or emotion, or intuition. If you want to feel what your customers are feeling, you cannot do that through AI. There's no efficient way to tap into what somebody's feeling.
That's absolutely right. And I almost feel like when we say that, it just makes so much sense to us for a CMO to do that. Yet we see in companies where they get a wall that gets put up. It's like, hell no, you're not going to go talk to our customers. Hell no, you're not going to go on a drive along. That's why I think what this all comes back to is what is the role of the CMO in an organization? And whenever a new CMO comes on board, there needs to be this handshake. That's what this role is. Because when you tell me what it is, God damn it, that's what I'm going to do. And if it's execution, you understand that coming in. If it's strategy, you understand that coming in. So the conversations that the CMO is having with the CFO and with the CEO and with the shareholders and, whatever those things are. And I just think that the world of marketing has become so complex. The CMO is just too often down here
Yep.
because there's just so much to manage when they should be up here.
Most of the CMOs we talk to are constantly playing defense.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're defending why they spent this, what their budget is, defending what their attribution was or wasn't. Mm-hmm. I think one of the things CMOs should start doing is own that growth conversation, at least with the CFO, before they own you, right? So bring the CFO a growth model that says, okay, if we only focus on efficiency, you want me to cut costs, you want me to do more with less. Okay, fine. This is what the growth plan looks like this, but here is what a balanced plan looks like. I will still focus on efficiency. I got it, but here's where we're going to invest in strategy and where we're going to invest in growth, and show the cost of underinvesting in actual strategy. Help the company realize financially that if it continues to trade short-term thinking and results for long-term, and you're going to underinvest in strategy, it's going to have a demonstrable negative impact on your long-term growth. That's what I would say that would be a huge one.
I think so. And this is not like, we haven't had this conversation for years as well. We have. However, the kicker here is the negative impact into this situation from AI. It really has put that efficiency play and that efficiency mindset, and marketing is now this lower level citizen on steroids, right? Because there's been so much attention on using AI better, faster, cheaper, right? Versus strategy.
Right. And along those lines, then I think intentional experimentation should be brought back. If you're only using AI to be more efficient, but you're not using it to be creative, you're not carving out time in the week, not carving out time in your budget. If you're going to defend your headcount, defend innovation, and if you don't plan for it, if you don't really mandate it for your team, it's just not going to happen. So whether that's not having hackathons, right, dedicated time per week, setting up aside some small slush budget to invest in some tools and some playtime. I mean, because this is also where strategy lives too.
Right.
Is in those creative times with your colleagues where you're just dreaming and you're inspiring each other, and you can come up with some things that are going to be beneficial for your customers.
Totally agree with that. And I think the good news about AI is that I'd be hard pressed to say we don't know a marketing team that's not using AI in some shape, form, or fashion, right? Especially, the last 12 months, it's really just exploded. And again, we could take that big squeeze report and we could just republish it. And again, the kicker, the difference between 12 months ago is that AI has helped what I'm calling the death spiral into efficiency, so that marketing is their own self-fulfilling prophecy. They're becoming a cost center, right? It's
the same thing. Remember when we published the Revenue Marketing Index last year, and we were surprised at how many companies still had not moved. And that chasm was still there. I think it's having the same impact on the journey. You're going backwards from becoming a revenue marketer. You're going back towards traditional, if that's even possible in 2026, because you're just managing your department like a cost center.
So I have an idea of a piece of advice I'd like to give. What advice would you give to a CMO to get out of this efficiency death spiral and get more back into the strategic playing?
I think it's just the things that we just talked about, Deb, for the last 5 minutes. It's really intentionally thinking about growth and the cost of just doing efficiency versus not. I think it's getting out in the field and talking to customers. I think it's, intentionally putting time to plan and to build, and not just about spending time on efficiencies. I think these are some of the main things.
I agree.
To me, a CMO is a leader, not just an operator, not just a manager. Leaders lead. I think you've got to step out of that and recognize that, sure, there's always going to be pressures to become more efficient. And yes, AI is going to accelerate that, but that is only one part of your job. And so you can't forget the other parts.
Right. I want to lean into one of your responses. And I've always said the path to power for a CMO is knowing and owning the customer. Period. Right? Because if whatever Yes, it is.
I said true that.
Oh, okay. I'm like, well, you disagree with me? I don't think so.
Of course I agree with you on that. As much as I would love to have an
Hell
argument.
no, Mr. Pedowitz. Hell no. We're not. So and we've always said that. So if I were a CMO today and I was in that death spiral of efficiency, becoming more of a cost center than strategic value, then I would say and do everything within my power to get in front of the customer, to know the customer, and to bring back to my executive team, here's what our customers are thinking, doing strategically. This is the direction that we should be going because it will all be informed by the customer. I would spend 50% of my time in front of customers. That's what I would do. And if your company does not let you do that, go find another fucking job because you're never going to win. You're never going to win. They don't see you as strategic. They see you as getting in the way, and you need to just go find another job.
Yeah, and look, along those lines, continue to use AI, but if you're just spitting out what AI is giving you, that's not strategy. That's regurgitation. That's no different than using the Cliff Notes when we were in school.
Exactly.
Right? You got to read the fucking book. You have to have your own opinions and insights. You want to use it as a primer, sure, but you've got to think critically. Yeah. And so that's a big part of it too, right? You have to challenge AI as much as it's helping you better. You have to put on your critical thinking cap.
Yeah, you absolutely do. And if everything you're doing is an efficiency play, there can be no growth, there can be no innovation, there can be no strategy. It's just not possible. So I think we've given them something to think about today, Jeff.
We have, Deb. Until next week.
Until next week.
All right. See you guys soon.
Bye-bye.